Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Math Pundit. Today we're going to be going over all of chapter 3, so this is going to be one of those longer videos with a lot of questions. As always, there is a blank worksheet and a key linked in the description below, so if you need to practice any of the questions that I went over in this video or questions I didn't cover in this video, then feel free to use that free resource, and let's get into it. Okay, question 1 is just asking us to solve for a here. So negative 3a plus 4 equals negative 14. I want to isolate a, so I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides of the equation. So minus 4 here and minus 4 here. So that's going to look like negative 3a is equal to negative 18. And then I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by negative 3. These negatives can cancel out. These negative 3's can cancel out. The 18 becomes 6. This becomes 1, 1, 1. So we get a equals 6. For question 2, we're solving the proportion for p. We're going to use the butterfly method here, so multiplying like this and like this, we get 25p is equal to 9 times 125. I'm going to leave it like this because it's a little bit easier if you don't multiply out this 9 times 125, because if you look here and you multiply both sides by 25, you can see that 125 is divisible by 25, so you can reduce this to 5 and this to 1. So this becomes p equals 9 times 5, so p equals 45. Okay? And this one too, similar idea, solve the proportion 12 over 15 equals 18 over b. We're going to use the butterfly method again. 15 times 18 equals 12 times b. And here I'm going to divide both sides by 12 to isolate b. Again, I'm not going to multiply out just because it makes our lives a little bit easier when you're canceling. So these two I can cancel, of course. 12 and 18 are both divisible by 6. So this becomes 2 and this becomes 3. And now it becomes a little bit easier to calculate because b then equals 15 times 3, which is 45 over 2, which you could also write as 22.5. Question 4 is a little bit long, but we have to solve for n in this equation. So I'm just going to expand everything out first. So 5n plus 7 equals 7n minus 7 minus 2n. So I get the 7n minus 7 right there from just distributing. And then now I'm just going to simplify. 5n plus 7 equals 7n minus 2n is 5n. And this is minus 7. So this is actually no solution, because if you subtract 5n from both sides, then you get 7 equals negative 7. But that's just not true, right? So the answer here is no solution. Which, if you want to get a little higher end with it, you could also just write that little notation right there also means no solution. But okay, now we're solving for variables. If the equation is in variables, we're solving for x here in this equation that we're given. So we're going to go ahead and try and isolate x. The first thing I'm going to do is add c to both sides, right? Because we're trying to isolate it, but step by step. So a over bx is equal to c. And now I'm going to do 2 steps in one. Because x is being multiplied by a over b right here, I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of a over b. So the reciprocal of a fraction is nothing but the fraction flipped. So the reciprocal of a over b is going to be b over a and b over a. Multiplying both sides by that, this and this cancel. You get x is equal to c times b over a is bc over a. And that's solving for x in the form for bca. Alright, some more wordy problems. Given an original value of 55 and a new value of 44, find the percent of change and state whether it's a percent of increase or percent of decrease. Okay, so we've done problems very similar to this before in previous videos. So we know original is 55 and new is 44. So remember, the percent of change formula is the new value. Let me actually color code that. New value minus the old value over the old value times 100. Okay, that looks a little hard to see. Okay, so if you multiply that out, we're going to get 100 times 44 minus 55 is negative 11. So negative 11 over 55. If you cancel some things here, you get 5 here, negative 1 here, and you get 100 times negative 1 over 5. If you put negative 1 over 5 into decimal form, you're going to get negative 0.2. So that means you're doing 100 times negative 0.2, which is negative 20%. So right here, because this is negative, we're going to have, or our final answer at least, is 20% decrease. Because, again, it's negative. If it was positive, it would be a 20% increase. And we can verify that just by knowing that the original value is bigger than the new value, which means there was a decrease in the original value. And from our calculations, we know that it was 20%. Okay. Question 7, we've done questions similar to this in the past as well. If a shirt costs $12 and the sales tax is 7%, find the total cost. You could do it by adding 12 to the sales tax, so it would look like this. Or you could completely scratch that and call it 12 times 1.07, which accounts for both the actual cost and the tax. Okay, so if you do multiply that out, 12 times 1.7 will give you 12.84. So the final cost, or the total cost of the shirt, is $12.84. Okay? Okay, question 8. The container company wants to make a cylindrical can with a volume of 1,188 cubic inches. The formula V equals R squared H represents the volume of a cylinder. In this formula, V represents the volume, R represents the radius of the cylinder's base, and H represents the height of the cylinder. Solve for H and then answer what height should the company make the can if the radius of the base must be 6 inches. Okay, so let's solve for H first, like they asked. I'm going to rewrite the formula here so it'll be easier to see. So v equals r squared h. And because we're solving for h, because we're solving for h, I'm going to single that out and make it green. Okay, so there's really only one thing we need to do here, and that's to divide by r squared, right? So our final answer, just off the get-go, we know is h is equal to v over r squared. And now the question's asking us what height the company should make the can if the radius must be 6 inches. Okay, well, we know that the volume is this 1188 cubic inches, right? So then h equals 1188 inches cubed over, and r squared must be, or r must be 6 inches. So 6 inches squared, which will give us 1188 inches cubed over 36 inches squared. And if you solve for 1188 divided by 36, you'll get about 103.67 inches should be the height.